Hey guys, I wanted to tell a story about what I tried this summer. And if you are my family, then you need to click away now because this is for the turtles only and I need privacy. Okay, so this summer, 2024, was my summer of trying a bunch of things. Like I really there was a list of things that I've had for a long time that I've always wanted to try. I wasn't really fiending to do this my whole life, but I was always curious and wanted to try to meet a sugar daddy. Because I'm like, you know, my looks aren't gonna be here forever. I feel like I really grew into myself and I felt really attractive. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just try to go on Seeking Arrangements. And I was also just hearing a lot of people talking about like, oh, like they got a lot of money from people or whatever. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna just try it. I'm just gonna see what happens. I actually don't know, like there was something much deeper within me that wanted to do it because I think I feel like as gay people, we always joke about it, right? We're like, oh, sugar daddies, whatever. But I really wanted to test if I was capable of doing it. Obviously, I mean, like money's nice. I don't really need a lot of money, but like money's nice. So I was like, okay, let's just like try this. So I went on Seeking Arrangements and I studied a lot. So I went on Seeking Arrangements, right? Which if you don't know what Seeking Arrangements is, it's basically like an online only old school like dating site where you seek an arrangement, right? They call it Seeking now because they wanted to make it more of a date oriented site versus like a sugar daddy, sugar baby site. But that's basically what it's for. That's what everyone always has used it for, and that's what most people use it for now. So I went on Seeking Arrangements and I made such a prime profile, you guys. Like I was looking really good. I was like really snatched this summer. I started running, I lost a lot of weight, and I worked out a lot, and so I had all these really good like summer photos of like my body looked really nice and I was like working out in the sun and all this stuff. So I had a lot of content to post for my profile that was really attractive. And for those of you who might be new or don't know, like I'm actually not as young as I look. Like I'm actually 28 years old, but I just look really young and I also act really young just from being an artist and also being mixed, I guess. But I went on the profile and I didn't lie about anything. I was just like, you know, I'm like a young artist. I'm excitable, I'm friendly, I'm motivated. And I studied a lot on Reddit and on YouTube about like sugar baby, sugar daddy culture and like what you have to what works and what you shouldn't do. I was locked in for this. Like I used to lock in when I studied for school and I hadn't like studied since then. So I was like really studying. I was watching hour-long videos while I was brushing my teeth or like before bed. I would fall asleep watching these long videos about like what people do and like there's like so much to the science of presenting yourself in that kind of a relationship that it was really mind-blowing to learn about all the things that you should and shouldn't do and the way you should think about yourself as well. Like for example, like you have to think there's so many sugar babies. It's very competitive. There's so many sugar babies out there that want a sugar daddy, right? And why would they pick you over someone else? Like, sure, maybe you have some looks, but like you need to have more than that. Like these people are intelligent and they have a lot of money and they have a lot of people asking to like be with them. So like, why should they choose you? So you have to exude main character is what I learned, is you have to be the most main character person when you walk into the room, when you're on the website. Like I remember scrolling through all the profiles and seeing my profile up there and I was like, wow, like I really nailed it with the picture choice and it really stood out. So another thing I did was I didn't like sit around and wait like Sleeping Beauty. I actually reached out to a lot of people, and if people opened my profile, then I would message them and I would say, hey, thank you so much for looking at my profile. Like, how are you doing tonight? And I would not ask for money. I would never bring up the money or anything. I would just kind of talk to them and give them a little preview of like the attention that they'll get from someone like me, Justin the Turtle. So I did that a couple of times. And then, you know, there were so many catfishes, which I am also a very smart person. So I would go on like cross-checking websites and I would cross-check the photos and I would see the links that these photos appear on, and it would tell you immediately if you're getting catfished or not. But there was this one guy, and he was older. Like, he didn't look like, I don't know, like a piece of, like, he wasn't like a hunk or anything. He was just like an old man, okay? So I messaged him. He looked fun-loving, okay? I'll say that. He looked fun-loving. So I messaged him and I was like, hey, I saw your profile and I really, like, am interested to, like, talk to you. Like, let me know if you're interested to talk to me as well. And then he messaged me back. And we were talking back and forth about just general things like what we do for work and stuff. And then I asked him, so, like, what are you up to this weekend? And he was like, oh, I have nothing planned on Sunday, but I'm busy Friday and Saturday. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was waiting for him to kind of invite me to do something on Sunday, but then I remembered, I was like, oh, me as the sugar baby, like, I have to bring the excitement. So I was like, okay, Sunday, like, let's meet. And he was like, okay, I'm down. And I was like, holy crap, I cannot believe I'm about to, like, do this, actually. So he was like, let's meet in Santa Monica. I know this really cute cafe. And I was like, okay. And I was really scared, you guys. Like, I was like, I can't believe I'm actually doing this. Like, it just kind of snowballed really, really quickly. But I was down. Like, I was into it. I was like, okay, like, we've come this far. Like, let's just try it out. Like, there's nothing to lose, right? So I drove all the way to Santa Monica on a Sunday. And I got to this cafe. And the guy was there. And he had, like, a very good personality. He was really nice. Like, he was a really nice guy, and he worked in Hollywood, I believe, and he had like a book with him, and he was telling me about the book, and it was just so crazy, you guys. Like, I made sure before the date I looked great, and I told him, I was like, oh, I just got back from a run and stuff, and like I did a little like workout. I wore like a diamond earring. I never wore my earrings, and I just looked so good. Like, my hair was really beautiful, and I had like this clean white shirt, and I just looked like a cute little snack, right? Like, and then I walked into the cafe, and I didn't act posh or like arrogant, but I acted very bright, which is easy for me because, like, I'm a pretty bright person. So I just had to kind of walk with like a panache to myself, where I was like, yes, this is the only person that you want to hang out with. Like, I was trying to think like, okay, no matter who you are, I need to look like everyone wants to hang out with me, or I need to be the person that everyone wants to hang out with. But it was so crazy. We sat down and I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe I'm doing this. So there's like a part of me that felt a little bit off. Like, I was in it and it felt a little too odd. It just felt odd. I felt like I was in an interview, but I was also kind of acting a bit, but I didn't want to act too much. I wanted to be very genuine to myself, and like, I was antsy because I was like, we didn't talk about the arrangement at all. We were just like, let's just meet. So I was kind of waiting for him to bring it up. And we just kind of talked, and it was intimidating too, because he seemed like he had interviewed a lot of people in his life just with his career of like working with actors and stuff. But he told me, like, he was like, you know, I get people that message me from China, and they see my profile and they're like, hey, like, can I be your sugar baby? And he gets messaged all the time. And he was like, so why would you reach out to me? And I was like, I don't know. You just seemed cool. And like, I was honest. Like, I was very honest with him, actually. I was like, I really don't, like, I've never tried this before, is what I told him. I was like, I've never done this. And like, I don't know. I felt really tense. I didn't feel relaxed at all. Like, there was no sense of relaxation this entire time. I felt like I was paying attention to how I sat and how I talked and like what I talked about. I didn't want to interrupt him, but like, and I also didn't want to get too close to him because I didn't really feel, I did not, like, from the start, I knew I didn't want to be in any sort of arrangement where I had to provide services. I was like, I will provide attention and like be a good companion and like a good friend and, you know, just like brighten someone's life. But I was never okay with like any sort of physical contact, but I didn't say that. So I don't know, when he would get like a little close, I'd be like, oh, like, I'm kind of scared right now. I don't know. I wasn't scared, but I was just like, oh, like, it was something I was trying, but it felt really off. Just because I was slowly realizing as I was in it, I was like, I don't know if this is something I could do. Like, anyways, this guy had money, okay? He had so much fucking money. Like, it was crazy. And he brought me, ugh, this was so dumb. So this is like the dumb part, okay? When we finished our brunch or whatever, he was like, my office is like down the street. Like, how about I go like show you my office? And I was just in like the heat of like the conversation and stuff. And I was like, yeah, sure. And then I just agreed, which I should have kind of like come up with some sort of excuse because I should not have gone to a private place alone with him on the first date, especially. But I was just, I don't know, I was so overwhelmed and I was so brand new to it that I just said yes, and it was dumb. But when I got in my car and I was following him in his car to his office, I texted my friends and I said, look, I'm going to this location. They all have my location, but I was like, I'm going to this location. I told them very briefly what was going on, and I said, okay, if I don't text you in like 15 minutes, then you need to come find me. And they're like, okay. Everyone locked in. It was a group chat, so everyone had locked in. So we were on our way to his office, and I parked and I was like, okay, you're Justin. This guy is also big. Like, he's old, but he's like really, really tall and like kind of thick. Like he looked like he used to do like sports and stuff, but he was like old, okay? But I was like, okay, Justin, you know what? Like, you are a cunning, you are a smart and a strong like young man. Like, you'll be fine. Which, you know, you can be a cunning and strong, smart young man, but in certain situations, like, you can be overpowered. It was just like, you need to be very cautious and not do what I did and go somewhere private on the first date or even the second date. You have to be very cautious. And I was just like, I don't know, I was dumb. So we were in his place and I knew my friends had my back, and he led me up to his place and I was like, oh, this is nice. And it was like, it looked like it was a really nice office, but it was not a public office. It was kind of like a rental space, and it was like an apartment almost. Like, it had a kitchen and it had like it was just like an open studio apartment. And I walked in and there's like movie posters everywhere. And there was, when you enter, there's the kitchen. And then in the living room were just these rows of seats. Like, as if it was like, I don't even know, like just like seats in a row and in like 2 rows of seats. And then just like looking out onto like this platform. And I was like, okay, this is really like off-putting. Like, what goes on here? But he says like, oh, like it's for auditions for like actors and actresses. He like showed me movies that he directed and stuff, and I was like, okay, sure. But he was giving me a tour, and as he was giving me a tour, I made sure to keep a very far distance between me and him. And he showed me to the back, and he was like, oh, and like, this is like where my bed is. And I was like, oh, okay, cool, that's great. And I just like walked the other way towards the door. I was like, that's great, thank you for showing me. And I was like, well, I have to go to my friend's birthday party. But it was really nice to meet you. And he was like, yeah, sure, like, I'll walk you out. He was very impressed by me, by the way, because he had a lot of very famous people hanging up on his walls, like these black and white posters of these famous icons, and he was testing me. He was like, so do you know who that is? Do you know who that is? And I was like, yeah, that's freaking Nelson Mandela, and that's like Coco Chanel, that's Audrey Hepburn. Like, very simple, but like, he was very impressed. I think he didn't really know that, I don't know, maybe he thought I was like some dumb teenager or whatever, but I was like, yeah. So he was very impressed by me. He really liked me. And then before we went back to my car, he said, so we did meet on seeking arrangements, so I think maybe we can talk about what kind of arrangements we're seeking. And I was like, yeah, sure, that's very fair. He was like, so what are you looking for? And I was like, honestly, I don't know. Like, if I'm being honest, I don't know. I really wanted to try it out and like see, but I have to think a bit more about what I want. He was like, yeah, that makes sense. So I said, what do you want? And he said, well, I would like an attractive young man such as yourself who is interesting and smart and who I could potentially get into bed with at one point, because, you know, that's like seeking arrangements. And I was like, okay, I have to think about it and I will text you. And he said, sure, yeah, take your time. So he was really sweet. Like, at the end, he was sweet. He walked me to my car. And I was tense up until the very last moment. I was like, okay, bye, thank you. He's like, bye. And he gave me a hug, which like I don't know, I shouldn't have gotten so close, but I was like, okay, sure. So I just gave him a hug and I left. Texted my friends, I was like, okay, I'm good. And I texted him after and I said, hey, I just wanted to clarify that I don't think I'm not interested in an arrangement where I have to give physical favors or a physical relationship. And he said, yeah, that's totally fine. He was very respectful. He said, like, that's totally fair. You don't have to worry about it, but I just don't think I'm in a position where I can just like fund someone's life right now. And I said, that's totally fair too. Like, it's your money, and if I'm not giving you what you want, then you don't have to pay me or anything. But we tried to meet each other, and I figured out that I didn't want to have sex with him. But anyways, what I learned from this was I can do it. I can be a sugar baby, but I don't really want to. Like, I just don't want to, and I also don't need to. I didn't really like the way it felt. I didn't like the feeling of taking someone's money because they wanted companionship. It just didn't feel right to me. It felt really fake and just, I think I could do it if I was really struggling financially, or if I really needed to like pay for a medical emergency for like a family member or a friend, like then I could definitely lock in and do it. But I don't know. It just didn't seem like something I wanted to do. I don't like the feeling. I didn't like the feeling of being on this date and like everyone at the cafe kind of knew what was going on. Well, actually, I didn't mind people at the cafe like knowing that it was an older, richer man with like a younger, silly little sugar baby. Or SB, as we call it. But I don't know. It just wasn't something I could do long term at all. I know that I'm capable of like being successful and like making money doing like my passions. The skills that I have, I'm very capable of just like making my own life. I just don't really need like expensive vacations. Like I would use the money, if I got money, I would use it for clothes and to like fund like art projects maybe. But like, I don't know, it just didn't really align with me. It didn't align with me, but it was really fun and interesting to learn all about the mechanics of this culture and to see that I was perfectly capable of bagging a very rich man. But yeah, I just kind of drew the line. I don't think I could do exchanges for like intimacy. Like intimacy with an exchange, it just didn't feel right. So yeah, that was my story of me meeting the sugar daddy. It was so crazy. Like, I couldn't believe I did it, but I was really happy that I tried it because I feel like as gay people, we're always like joking, like, yeah, I need a sugar daddy. Oh my God, I'm looking for a sugar daddy like right now. Like, I need a sugar daddy. Where are they at? But when it actually came down to it, I was like, I don't think I could. I could do it. I'm capable of doing it. Do I want to? I learned no. I don't actually want to do it. But it was empowering to know that I was capable, but I'm even more empowered to like learn that part of myself and to know that I tried it. And I'm very proud of myself for trying it because it was very scary and it was a lot of work. Like, it was a lot of work to learn. I don't think you can just jump right in and like do it. Like, I think you have to be very smart. This was just like a really crazy summer of like learning. I didn't do anything intimate with him. I didn't receive any money, but yeah. It's interesting because like I see, like working at a bar, I see a lot of rich older men come to gay bars and they have people they don't even bring. Just somehow these little gay boys just like flock to them. They like sense it. These little gay boys like sense that these guys have a lot of money and they like are on their shoulder. Like the old man will come up to the bar like ordering champagne or like drinks, and then the little babies are like all up on him like da, 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 da. And I'm just like, okay, I see what's going on. Like, get your bag. Like, you guys, you better work. But sometimes it's really rough. Like, I saw one big, like, I don't know, just like this, he was like a frumpy like old guy, and he like had like his shirt off and he had like big beer belly, and he was like just ordering like expensive champagne. I was like, okay, like he would come up to the bar drunk AF and he's like, I want like this expensive champagne. I was like, okay, sure. Like, give him the champagne, and then like, I'd be like, what is he doing? Like, who is he with? And I'd look in the corner. He's like drinking with these like young guys, and like this group of young guys are just circling him, like drinking this expensive champagne. And then later in the night, like a couple hours later, I see all the young guys just like mob out of the bar or out of the club together. And I look in the corner, and the big guy, the sugar daddy, is just like passed out in the corner like this. They just ditched him. He's just passed out alone. They just got their champagne and like left, and I'm like, y'all, this is crazy. Like, I can't believe you guys just do this. Like, I can't do that. I can't just do that to someone. I think it's hilarious. And you know, for all I know, the guy could have been an asshole, so maybe he had it coming, but I thought it was crazy. I was like, y'all are crazy. Y'all are crazy. So I learned from this summer that the whole SBSD arrangement doesn't really work for me because I don't give sexual favors. But, you know, I'm still open to receiving that moolah for some extra plushies and some extra cute clothes. Just kidding. I mean, I have received like some Venmo payments from people who just wanted to support me and like wanted me to buy like a fun toy or a plushie at the Pokemon Center, and it was really, really heartwarming to get. But like, so I mean, I do accept tips. I don't know. I don't think I could be like a companion to an older man. Does that make sense? Like, I don't think I could be an older man's companion, but you never know. Like, you never know what the future might hold. So that was my story of, that was the story of Justin and the sugar daddy debacle. So I just wanted to share it because it was a really crazy story and it was a really crazy summer. So if you want to give it a try, I encourage you to do it safely. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed my little story time, and I have plenty more stories to tell you guys. So if you enjoyed it, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next vlog or video. Bye.